Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back. It is mock season, mock draft, rookie mock draft number 2 with me, Cody Carpentier, and your boy, Matty Kiwoom at Matty Kiwoom on Twitter.
What's up?
Been a few weeks, Matty. We got that first one out of the way. It's been a few weeks. Now we're back, and now we're going to start rolling these out every single week. Midweek mocks with Matty Kiwoom. That's what I'm going to call that shit.
Okay. I mean, you got a lot of M's in that title, which means it's good.
M's, all the M's.
All M's. First of all, I got to say one thing. It's been a couple weeks for a reason. Dude, I am incredibly proud of what you've done for yourself and for Player Profiler. I mean, boots on the ground in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, rubbing elbows with Adam Schefter and company, the fine folks, the fantasy football people over in Phoenix for the Super Bowl. My man, absolutely killing the damn game.
I appreciate you, brother. I noticed you didn't see Ian Rappaport there because there was no Ian Rappaport video that was to be posted.
Was he there?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he might have been. He might have, Schefter at least answered my question.
I mean, he clearly he went to the Bill Belichick school of answering questions because my man straight pulled the Neo. You shot the bullet, and he straight dodged that thing, my man.
Yeah, that was good though. It was good. I appreciate you giving me my flowers, man. That's it was a good time. We're just trying to bring everybody to the top. That's kind of the big goal, is to bring this whole thing. I think that's when you come to the meetings on Thursday and the conversations and stuff, you kind of see it all. So without getting too sappy into that, it's the long goal is to get everybody up to the top, and that's it takes time. So
for sure.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. If you're in the chat, if you're listening along, click that like, click the subscribe button here on the Boob Tube so we can keep on doing these streams every single week. Last time got like 2.6K. Not too bad. If you remember right though, I said if we get 100 likes on this video, Matty Kiwoom's going to do a mock draft. We got 97.
Well, we need 100 today, ladies and gents.
So what we need you to do, I'm going to put the link to the last YouTube video in the description after the show. I just need you to go back there, click like a couple times, because I need my boy Matty K to do some NFL mock drafting with me. Because today we're going to be going over my mock draft 3.0, 3 rounds of the NFL mock draft. You can find that on PlayerProfiler.com or down below in the description on the YouTube. We're going to be doing a rookie mock, 2 rounds, the first 24 picks with that mock. And I think I can share my example right here. Share this tab instead, and then pop it up on the screen. You can see right here are some of the picks that we'll be going over. So just a slow recap of the NFL fantasy focused prospects that we're going to be picking through here right now. This is all fantasy relevant guys. You can see Will Levis, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson going to the Houston Texans, Quentin Johnston to Washington, all the way down through the end of round 3, where Michael Wilson goes pick 103 to the San Francisco 49ers. So these will be the players that we'll be drafting with and why. So later on, when we're going through these picks, you'll be like, well, why the hell did you pick Luke Musgrave here? It's because he went 49th overall to the Detroit Lions in this mock. It's a hypothetical landing spot that we're going to be drafting after tonight in this draft. Matty, should we get to drafting?
Let's get to drafting, my friend.
All right, Matty's on the clock with the number 1 pick. What are you thinking?
Okay, so based on these landing spots, one thing that's a little different from your mock 2.0 to your mock 3.0. First of all, are you trying to troll me? My bold take was 4 QBs went in the first 4 picks. I'm looking at your mock. You only have 1. Are you trying to push your boys' buttons? Trying to get me a little crazy here to start?
Hey, man, just doing my job.
Just doing your job. No, but one thing I will say about 2.0 to 3.0 is there is a quarterback landing spot that will, in my opinion, push for the 101. I'm not going to reveal who that is because I want him to fall to me at 103 because I am going to stick to my guns and I will take Bijan Robinson to start this draft. You got him going in the first round of the Cowboys. And I know what people say when it comes to running backs going in the first round. It's kind of blasphemy. But when I look and think about the past, the last time the Cowboys did such a thing, it was with Zeke. And Zeke started his career with 4 seasons in which he finished inside the top 6. In the 3 seasons since, he hasn't finished anything worse than 22 on a points per game basis. If I can get that type of consistency because they're going to a landing spot like the Cowboys, I'm hoping history repeats itself. So give me Bijan, the supreme prospect, going to the boys.
So the idea behind that pick for me, putting Bijan with the Detroit or with the Dallas Cowboys, is exactly what you just said. Zeke is out, right? Zeke's gone, I think. And it's going to be, I think we're looking forward to Bijan and a Tony Pollard backfield where Tony Pollard, we love him, but they're not going to roll out Tony Pollard with, Rico Dowdle and Simi, what the hell was his old name? I can't remember. Anyway, they're not going to roll him out with some nobodies, right?
Malik Davis or whatever.
Malik Davis, yeah. Remember Malik Davis who got the snaps over Dameon Pierce at Florida? They're not going to roll Pollard out with those guys because it's just Pollard's not that type of a guy. So I think you bring in Bijan. Exit stage left is Zeke, and I think you're going to have a very good next probably 8 years. It's going to be just going from Zeke to Bijan, 2 all-time college running backs. So yeah, I like that. And obviously at the 101, we've talked about this before. The 101, you can't go wrong. Even this is super flex draft right here. This is a rookie super flex draft. You can't go wrong with the 101 getting Bijan. I know the quarterback position is very important in super flex, but Bijan, I've seen, like, my comp was Cam Akers, what Cam Akers wanted to be, but I've seen some crazy ones out there. Some Edgerrin James, like the real ones. Remember Edgerrin James? He's a motherfucker. So
seriously.
We're talking. I think Bijan is going to be special, and I think he's going to warrant that 101 pick. But at the 102, it is super flex. So I'm tempted to go quarterback, but I think that my quarterback will be back at the 202 or the 104. Sorry. So right here, right now, I'm going to go with one Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Oh, man. See, I thought I was going to be bold because I was planning on taking this man super early because I love the landing spot. So I am so excited to hear what you have to say for JSN going 102.
Jackson Smith-Njigba. Again, we're going off of this mock draft 3.0, 3 rounds. You can find that on PlayerProfiler.com or pinned at the top of my Twitter at Carpentier NFL on Twitter. 22 overall to the Los Angeles Chargers, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I had no wide receivers mocked in the top 15, and then 5 go off the board between picks 16 and 31. Jackson Smith-Njigba right in the middle there goes to the Chargers. Sometimes you have to do the things that you prefer not to do, and the Chargers are $22 million over the cap by releasing and trading Keenan Allen. It enables them to try to do, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they're going to try to do what Minnesota did with moving on from Diggs, trading him, or if they release Keenan Allen, whichever way, and then drafting Justin Jefferson. And by no means am I saying Justin Jefferson and Jackson Smith-Njigba are comparable, but I think that Jackson Smith-Njigba and Keenan Allen are comparable. PPR monsters. Jackson Smith-Njigba fits great in this offense, and I think that gives him – Keenan Allen's one of the most underrated wide receivers of the last decade, but I think Jackson Smith-Njigba does give them a little more juice on this offense.
And we're talking about seamless replacements, going from Zeke to Bijan. I can't think of a more seamless transition than Keenan Allen to JSN. Yeah. Talking about guys who can win their routes, guys who can make plays after catching the ball. So I think this is a dynamite pick. I really, really like this landing spot. He would shoot up my draft board with that landing spot. But I'm going to go up next here. The clock is a ticking, so I have to make a selection. And I am going with the biggest difference, in my opinion, from the 2.0 to the 3.0, and that's CJ Stroud. I loved him in 2.0. I think he was the first quarterback that I selected in the 2.0. But here, going to the Detroit Lions, wheels up. I love this type of passer. He reminds me a lot of a Jared Goff, a guy who was criticized for his lack of mobility, but who could make all the throws in college. And I think you could take that profile, kind of multiply it a bit, and you get CJ Stroud. So putting him around Amon-Ra, putting him around, the running backs, DeAndre Swift and Jameson Williams. This guy can absolutely ball out there. And even if I have to wait a year for Jared Goff to kind of play out his tenure for the Lions, I'll do it because I think this dude I think this is the type of landing spot that can truly give him the really, really high ceiling that we want from rookie quarterbacks.
100%. And I think exactly, it's just one of those things with the cap hit, the dollar amount. I don't think that these guys are far off. I mean, I think CJ Stroud's pretty comparable to a Teddy Bridgewater type. Teddy Bridgewater isn't far off from a Jared Goff. Obviously, Goff was a top 5 pick in his own right. Number 2, I think, overall, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, he went 1 overall.
No.
Wentz went
2. Oh,
2.
he went in front of Wentz, didn't he? My bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point more being is that Goff was good enough himself. Stroud's better. And I got some comments in the comment section on Twitter that were like, does he really elevate this offense? Yeah, he's going to elevate it enough. Goff is good, but Stroud's just a tick better. He's got more talent under his belt. And I think putting him in this offense just elevates you a little bit more. Goff does carry a $30 million cap hit each of the next 2 seasons. Save money, build your team. The unit is built. They need to take advantage of this window and inserting a CJ Stroud. And yes, if Goff stays this year and they let Stroud take a few weeks or whatever the hell happens, right? Goff plays the first 6 and they're like, all right, Goff, man, you're getting dogged in practice by Stroud. We got to start Stroud next week. And then elevate, you can see that elevate that offense in any given week. And then obviously Goff is gone next year. And that's when you start going. The Detroit, I mean, if it clicks, I mean, it's gone time with, I think, CJ Stroud in Detroit. And I love that landing spot. A lot of people don't love that landing spot, but I love it.
Yeah, I think that landing spot, I think it kind of makes team builders upset in fantasy because what it is going to make them do is have to recalibrate. I think a lot of people are depending on Jared Goff in fantasy, especially in your 2 QB or Superflex, where they're comfortable as him as their quarterback too. They're really, really excited to have him there. And if they bring in a guy like CJ Stroud, all of a sudden Jared Goff becomes expendable. He becomes benchable. He becomes all these things I think that people who roster him are super afraid of. I think that's kind of the pushback because when you see landing spots, there is no better landing spot, in my opinion, than linking a guy like Stroud with Ben Johnson in this offense.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm going to stay at quarterback here at the 104 in our draft. This is my second pick, and I'm going to go with my guy. I'm gonna go with my. I like these guys so much. I'm gonna go Will Levis here, and the reason being is that Will Levis is that dude, and I liked the hiring that they had last week after the Super Bowl, right? So Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach from 2016 to 2020 in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 6'6", 237 pounds, 64.0% college completion percentage. Offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, 2021. Jalen Hurts, 6'1", 222, 65% completion percentage in college. Can run the ball. And now he's the head coach in Indianapolis, and they hold that number 4 overall pick. Will Levis just happens to be 6'3", just between those two guys, and 232 pounds, just between those two guys, with a career 64.9% completion percentage. Will Levis, not only does all those numbers mix up well, and not only does Will Levis get the same disrespect that Hurts and Herbert got coming out of college, but Will Levis, obviously I've said this 1,000,000.7 times on this, Will Levis is the strongest arm in this class, and this team needs a quarterback worse than ever. And even though Jim Irsay tweets about Bryce Young, that does not mean they're taking Bryce Young. If you take everything Jim Irsay says for gospel, I love Jim Irsay.
Jeff Saturday would be the head coach if you took everything Irsay said as gospel.
I was going to say, I love Jim Irsay, but I mean, he is also very good at tweeting. So I'm just going to roll with that. And I'm going to say Will Levis here at the 104. And that's going to be my quarterback.
Great pick. Definitely was going to be my pick if he fell to me here. I like the big arm with the big time receivers. You got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and, not to spoil alert, but if you look down in Cody's mock 3.0, Josh Downs is the chef's kiss perfect accent to this wide receiver room. 2 big guys on the outside that can make moss play after moss play, and you get a guy like Downs who can work the middle of the field. I know people will probably say, well, they had Paris Campbell and it didn't work. Why would Josh Downs work? I think Paris Campbell is a little bit more raw, maybe a better athlete, but I don't think he was as refined as Downs. And Downs, when I look at his tape, he looks like he could be the guy that is so good in the slot that he could elevate the touches for the guys on the outside. So give me the quarterback at the helm of all this. I love it.
Well, think about like a year ago in that same spot, they took Alec Pierce. They got that guy. They're going to put him out. They're going to force him out there until he fails. They got Michael Pittman on their side. Like you mentioned, Paris Campbell, he's going to go get paid probably this summer. The Colts aren't going to bring him back. T.Y. Hilton, that experiment, obviously, it's over with. It's done with. He was the GOAT in Indianapolis, but they need somebody for that spot. That's the big thing. Who's going to fill that spot? And we'll see where he goes here in a minute. But Josh Downs paired up with Will Levis, Pittman, running back Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I don't love Alec Pierce, but he's a pretty damn good number 4 option.
Yes.
So,
I mean, at the very least, a decoy, somebody who you have to at least respect on the outside. And Michael Pittman was catching balls over defensive backs when dusty ass Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and Matt Ryan was chucking on the rock. He could absolutely do it with a young arm that has an absolute rocket cannon like Will Levis. So I love that pick. That was who I wanted. So now I have to pivot to my safety blanket, my binky, if you will, as we do these mocks, and that's absolutely Bryce Young. Love the landing spot, falling all the way to 9. There wouldn't be, I mean, that is the clouds opening up and the angel coming down with the harp for the Carolina Panthers. They don't got to trade up and they can still get a guy who I think gives them a very safe floor, something they're not used to. You're talking about Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. These dudes had floors below the surface of the earth. And now you get a guy with Bryce Young who can come in, and he might not be able to be as electric as you want at the 9th overall pick, but he can move this offense. He can get the ball going, and you pair him up with Frank Reich, a guy who can develop quarterbacks. I really, really like that. Now, if you need a little bit of help, Bryce, your boy knows how to eat a little bit, so come find me. I can help you put on them pounds before the draft, before the combine, if you need it.
I was really, really, really hoping you weren't going to take my guy here, and you didn't. You took Bryce, who I think everybody knows I'm not the highest on, but I do love the lane spot of Bryce Young in Carolina. I think he fits well into this offense where Frank Reich, he wants to get his guy. I think Bryce Young ends up being 9th overall. I mean, for Bryce Young it's a fucking epic value. Yeah. It's the bottom line is that a lot of people are going to be scared off because he's going to be playing the 180s, but if he does weigh in at 201 at the combine next week, we'll see what happens, or in 2 weeks, but we'll see what happens. But he's a top 10 talent. That's not even a question. So 9, Carolina Panthers. I love that whole thing there. But in fantasy and in Superflex, there's only one guy that I want.
Of course.
And he's borderline with Levis, who I wanted to take right there. And that's Anthony Richardson. A-Rich from Florida. He's going down to Houston to pair up with Dameon Pierce, former backfield mate at Florida. He's going to have Nico Collins. And according to my mock, he might have another weapon making his way down to Houston at the start of the 3rd round. Jaden Reed, wide receiver from Michigan State. Think about Jaden Reed in that offense. I think Brandon Cooks might be on the way out, might be on the way staying. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But him, even just being in that same room learning from a Cooks for 1 year kind of gets me tingly inside. So I'm going to roll with that. I think A-Rich in Houston is a guy that, this team isn't ready to go right now. They're still a year or two away, and that's exactly what A-Rich needs. Does he get forced out there day one? I don't really know. Maybe. I don't really want him to be. I've talked about this for a while. I wanted him to go back to school, but situations are situational. He needs to get that bag, and he's going to get that bag, and he's going to go to Houston, and he's going to ball out. So it's going to be pretty similar to the Chicago situation with Justin Fields, other than I think Houston has a little bit better offensive line. So we could be looking at no bullshit. We could be looking at 1,000, 1,200 yard rushing season from Anthony Richardson if he does play in year 1.
Anthony Richardson so far has to be the gym shorts MVP. Every single video that I've seen of him in gym shorts and a t-shirt looks damn electric. Absolute laser arm. Obviously, we know he's a crazy good athlete. I also think it's super funny for everyone watching to see the difference between the two of us drafting. In both of our mocks so far, you've taken the 2 high ceiling guys, and I've taken the floor guys. So maybe I'm playing a little scared. Maybe I need to reevaluate how risky you could say I'm willing to get. Maybe I need to get a little bit more risk in my portfolio because I keep going with the safe. You keep going with the high floor. I was actually scared off by this landing spot. I thought that in my mind here, you're not really giving him weapons to work around. So we're looking at a project. I think he could be considered a bust before his value takes off.
Yep.
That kind of makes me a little nervous in drafting someone this early in my rookie mocks, but the ceiling is there. And like you said, on a team where you're not really expected to win right away. And if you lose, they can get you another weapon at the top of the 24 draft. So I guess, this could play out well. And, new head coach, he gets his guy. There is something to be said about that. When the head coach gets his guy, he will go to battle for that quarterback. And Richardson has the highest of ceilings. He will be undoubtedly the guy that I hope that falls in all of my home league rookie mocks. Some of those home leagues aren't as astute as the more competitive leagues, and I'm hoping he can fall to the back half of round 1. But when we do these drafts, Cody, you ain't letting him fall, not even an iota. So kudos to you there. My next pick, I've been looking up and down. Where am I going to go here? Do I want to go with a wide receiver? I don't think I want to go with the wide receiver because I think my guy will fall to me here because I, based on these landing spots, have kind of switched up my rankings here. So I'm actually going to go with Jamir Gibbs going to that Carolina offense.
Wow.
I don't necessarily think in year 1 he is going to be the bell cow. They could easily bring back Foreman, who looked great there. They still got Chuba. But if you remember, the Panthers did take Christian McCaffrey. I think it was 8th overall, and he was outside of the top 10 that rookie season. He might have been outside the top 12 because they were really just easing him in the pass game. I could see a similar situation like that working for Gibbs, and I like that for a guy like Gibbs, where you're not just throwing all the touches on him year 1. Let him develop a little bit in the pros, get his feet under him, become the pass-catching back in that offense. You can use that in fantasy, and that is something I think can prove to have some longevity to it. So give me Jamir Gibbs because I'm hoping that my favorite wide receiver is still left, falls to me a pick from now.
What do you think about having Gibbs team back up with Bryce Young? I mean, they're both on your fantasy team now, but in Carolina, what do you think about this backfield tandem in Carolina?
I don't know how much you can invest in college teammates linking up in the pros. I don't know if it matters a ton, but I do think it matters a little bit. I mean, think of it just on a human level, right? You and I, Cody, we know each other. If we were to go somewhere and, oh shit, there's Cody. Oh, there's Matty. We would instantly be like, yo, we're gonna do this together. So having someone in his offense go through the rookie process with him, go with rookie OTAs, potentially room together, none of that will hurt his status on the field. It can only help. Now, do I think instantly he becomes a check down master because Gibbs on the field? No, I don't think it's the case. And I do love both of these selections for my main man, the big homie DJ Moore. This is now Frank Wright building an offense in his own image, putting some weapons around where DJ can finally get to that level I think we all wish he'd be at.
Kendre reminded me when I said that of the Trevor Lawrence and they bring in ETN, they kind of pair it together, and everyone's like, this is going to be ETN's going to get 917 receptions. And it's like, not quite. That's not exactly how that works. No. But more so, I think exactly what you just said. It's the human element. And I think that just would, there's not really going to be a success rate percentage or chance out there that you can look back on because it doesn't happen very often. But it's got to have a little bit of help from the mental side of things, which is obviously what I try to focus in on is what were the odds that both of these guys are going to excel in the NFL if they come in together after a year of being a very good football team in college? Obviously, ETN and Lawrence win championships together at Clemson. Young and Gibbs did very well this year together. I just think that inherently helps them build and bring the culture because they both come from Bama. They're both coming. They're both going to fix this shitty franchise similar to Lawrence and ETN. I think that was very interesting. I kind of stumbled across it and I was like, and again, this mock 3.0 is not this is going to be one of the most different mock than any other mock I do. This mock 3.0, this one was built entirely around because we're in this little lull period right now. I did one before the Senior Bowl. This one's right here between the Combine and the Senior Bowl. We're going to learn a lot at the Combine next week, and then the next mock is going to be a really serious one. But this one's more so, what would I do if I was the GM? And I put myself in every single GM shoe at each pick. So when I got to the pick, I was like, okay, what have I drafted so far? What's my team look like? What can I do to help this team? And that's kind of what I did. And Gibbs just felt there, and I was like, damn, this would be Foreman's on his way out. They need some talent on the offensive side of the ball. We got wide receiver locked in. Give me Gibbs with Young. I think that would help this team overall just feel better in the long run.
Absolutely. I think overall, too, what really could benefit when college teammates, guys who know each other, I can't help but think that when James Robinson was doing his thing in Jacksonville, and, maybe the coaches were like, did we screw up taking a running back when we had somebody like Robinson? When you consult in the quarterback, he's going to go to battle for his guy, ETN. And that type of thing could also work out with this Bryce Young and Jamir Gibbs link up in Carolina. If Gibbs doesn't look great in OTAs and they're talking to Bryce and he's like, listen, just keep giving him the ball. I know how good he is. We had a rapport. Like the fact that they are battle mates and battle tested together, that's just going to help build that culture that you talked about. So I think that's something that kind of stems to a bit of longevity with the two of them. So for sure, like I said, I don't know how much it helps, but it definitely does not hurt.
So with this next pick, I'm going to be going to another player that's getting, I just realized this one too. He's getting his college quarterback back from 2 years ago. Jordan Addison going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 17. He had 1,593 yards and 100 receptions in 2021 while playing with Kenny Pickett up at the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now they will both be teaming up with the Pittsburgh Steelers as Jordan Addison makes his trip all the way back across the continental United States to play wide receiver with Deontay and George Pickens in this wild. They're just going to continue to build this wide receiver. This is just wild how they've been able to do this. And if they land Addison here, I would love to put Addison back with Kenny P. And I think that would help him as well grow throughout being in Pittsburgh, because I think he's on the edge. Some people believe in him, and other people are like, you know what? I don't think he's the guy. I think this is one thing that would help elevate him. Imagine a wide receiver core of Addison, Pickens, and Johnson. I don't love Johnson, but I mean that for me puts Johnson as wide receiver 3, and I mean he's about as good as you can get at wide receiver 3.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, this hurt me. I am a staunch non-believer in Kenny Pickett.
Yep, same.
I know it's silly, I know it's crazy, but the hands thing is freaking undefeated. And sometimes you just got to bow down to the stats you see. And Pickett, him and I have the same size hands. And I will tell you this. If I were to try to throw an NFL ball right now, your boy ain't chucking it because my hands ain't all that big. It's fit for my body. I don't think he's got that ceiling outcome in him. Now, this wide receiver group of Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, and George Pickens, holy shit. If you
Pat Fryermuth too.
Listen, those are 4 players I love. Addison, talent alone is my wide receiver 1 in this class. He's got that dog in him. He's got everything you want in a wide receiver. Love him. I hate this landing spot. Absolutely despise it. And I think that a guy like Pickens, Deontay, Fryermuth, it certainly caps his upside, and it puts all the pressure on Pickett becoming not just a good NFL quarterback, but a top elite quarterback to support all these pass catchers. Now, like I said, if I'm playing Madden, I'm benching Pickett, I'm getting a quarterback, and I'm running this team to the damn Super Bowl because the pass catchers are elite. Love the pass catchers. Yeah. But in terms of landing spot, I love Addison. I really hope he does not go to the Steelers. It would crush my soul. But I understand why you took him here, because the kid is supremely talented. And like you said, the link with Pickett, that could ascend him to the top of the target hierarchy, and that's what we're looking for. We don't need Pickett to be a stud to support one guy, and if that one guy is Addison, then you got yourself a dynamite fantasy asset. So I do understand why you take him this early, and I ain't letting him slide. But I mentioned a change in my mind from your mocks 2.0 to 3.0, and this is it. And I'm going to take him here, and then he slid exactly to where I hope he would, and that is Jalin Hyatt. I'm taking Jalin Hyatt here, who goes to the Baltimore Ravens. I love me Jalin Hyatt. Jalin Hyatt, so far in the mocks that I've done, is my bailout at the back end of the first round. Love being able to get Hyatt at the end of the round 1. Last year, 1,200 receiving yards at Tennessee, 15 receiving yards. He was a dog out of the slot, and if you put him on this Ravens offense, I'm playing this out like Lamar's there, because that is a question mark. And now you're starting to hear these rumors are getting crazier and crazier that he's going to be out. If that happens, we'll have to reevaluate. But right now I'm going with Lamar at the helm. And I think a guy like Jalin Hyatt could be Hollywood Brown. He could come in. He's bigger than Brown, but he's going to be fast. What do we project his 40? 4.4?
He's going to be in the 4.3s.
4.3s.
He might touch 4.2s. Like, he's going to be low 4.3s.
So if he's in the right, if he sniffs the 4.2, which if they run on the same turf that they did last year, he is running 4.2, because them boys were on fire last year at the combine. So it's definitely possible. But if he even runs in the 4.3s at 6 feet 185 coming out of the slot, you're gonna put Bateman out there. You're gonna still have Mark Andrews. Ooh, I do love this landing spot. I think this could be Lamar's next Hollywood Brown type.
I love it. Good landing spot. They've been trying to fill that role. I think Hyatt's the guy. I'm not going to go where many would think I would right here. There's one guy that the first wide receiver off the board that has fallen, and I think he's going to continue to fall for a multitude of reasons. I'm going to go 2 wide receiver, though, because why not get more wide receivers? I already got Addison. I already got Jackson Smith-Njigba. We need to get all the wide receivers in this rookie mock draft. So I'm going to take the one and only Zay Flowers, who's now going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs with pick number 32. He's going to be the Shrine Bowl star of the year. Zay Flowers from Boston College. He had one offer coming out of high school, which was Boston College, and he was offered multiple multi-million-dollar NIL deals this past year to leave Boston College. He did not do it. He stayed the course, and then he went to the Shrine Bowl and dominated for like a practice and a half and then dipped out. Zay Flowers is going to be a dude. You put him in Kansas City with Kadarius Toney, with Sky Moore, with Travis Kelce. Think about that wide receiver core. MVS is probably, I think he's got another year there. He'll probably be there for another year.
Yeah.
Juju's gone. Think about, I can't even think about this. Think about Zay Flowers, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore, and the elusiveness, the electricity that would bring to the table with Travis motherfucking Kelce.
You want to talk about versatility? Look at the routes that the Chiefs use to win the Super Bowl. Those routes are tailor-made for players like Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Zay Flowers. And to be able to deploy that with MVS just basically running wind sprints, hey, we'll pay you millions of dollars to run wind sprints. You could do that first, pal. And then Travis Kelce just wreaking havoc in the middle of the field. I love it. That's a humongous landing spot. I do expect his value to skyrocket, straight upward trajectory if he goes to a team like the Chiefs.
I love it. I love it.
So my next pick here, I am not going to go with the number 1 wide receiver on the board because I just don't like him. I just don't like his. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm actually going to go with something that kind of threw me for a little bit of loop here when I was doing my prep for the show, kind of hoping who would be where for my picks. I'm going to go with Hendon Hooker with my next pick. You got him going 38 to the Seattle Seahawks. In that landing spot for a guy like Hooker, he's a little bit older of a prospect, but I think that might work out for the situation. He's going to bring a bit of maturity, bring a little bit of seasoning to the quarterback room, and he's not going to push Geno in year 1 necessarily, but if Geno falls off a cliff, because we've only seen him do it for 1 year, if we see Geno get hurt, and he kind of comes in and balls out, he's going to have the weapons. He's going to have DK. He's going to have Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker. He's going to have a good team built around him because Seattle is doing the right things, hoarding picks, taking a lot of good young players. Last year, they absolutely dominated their draft, so why not give him the benefit of the doubt for this draft? Give me Hendon Hooker with this surrounding cast, and then Superflex, I'll keep that on my bench for a year if I have to, but I really like the upside here with this landing spot.
What do you think about this? The reason I did this pick, obviously, it kind of would make sense why, being the age that Hendon Hooker is, pairing him up with a Geno Smith type guy that had multiple situations throughout his entire career in the NFL. And I think they're kind of comparable. I think Hooker's got a little better arm talent, but remember Geno was a first-round pick as well. How do you think about what do you think about this pairing by itself?
I think it's one of those pairings that as long as Geno doesn't kind of like repel it, as long as he's not resistant to kind of starting, but also being a mentor, it could be a fantastic landing spot. I mean, people forget Geno was a freaking beast at West Virginia. The dude was a highlight reel on Saturdays. He would chuck the rock, and it just didn't translate well into his first kind of part of his career. But I think what we're kind of learning is Pete Carroll's a lot better at coaching quarterbacks than we ever gave him credit for. If Russell Wilson never rights the ship, especially now with Sean Payton as his head coach, we have to give so much credit to Pete Carroll and what he was able to do in maybe hiding some of the blemishes on Russell Wilson's game, accelerating and kind of boosting what he was good at. And I think he could do that with a guy like Hooker. And I think he can come in, a little bit pressure free. They're going to really just expect him to get healthy in his rookie season. And what I really like about Hooker's profile at Tennessee, the last 2 years, 58 touchdowns and only 5 picks. So he's good at managing the game. And that that is the type of quarterback that I think Pete Carroll can excel with, especially with these weapons. And we all saw the video today. DK Metcalf can jump over a damn giraffe.
Yeah, what the hell was that? What was
fake,
that?
right? It's got to be fake.
I watched it like 8 times and I was like, so when did they pull the trampoline out?
I don't know because, and then all of a sudden, if this is gonna sound weird, but after that jump, if he had took off his shirt, everyone would go, yeah, that's fine. He can do that. The guy looks like damn near Superman. He's absolutely chiseled from stone, and apparently he can jump over.
That was like a 60-inch standing vertical. That made no fucking sense.
But you know what also was funny about that video that I don't think people were talking about? How accurate was that throw? I mean,
well, yeah, put it up here.
How hard it is to throw that high over someone's head to the point where they can make the play they want to make. Damn good throw.
That seemed a little fishy there. I obviously am not going to. I don't think that was.
I don't think it's real, but I ain't telling the DK's face. I'll tell you that right now. I ain't telling that to him.
All right, so 112 here is a strange spot to be in. I don't mind the Hendon Hooker pick at all. I think he fits in that offense well. I think as far as the long term goes in Superflex, it'll be a nice pick. I'm sitting here at 112 with a player in question, 2 players in question. And one would pair up with my Will Levis pick very nicely. And another one, I just don't think I can pass over him. He was the first wide receiver drafted in the mock, and number 16 overall to the Washington Commanders. We are Commanders and Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is the guy. Quentin Johnston's the wide receiver. He's the fake alpha, I guess you'd say, for this offense. They've drafted Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, all smaller, shiftier guys. Why not go get that big fake alpha? It's literally what I wrote. They got Eric Bieniemy today to be their offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, looks to be the next head coach after Ron Rivera walks away at the end of the season, I would project. And they're turning to Sam Howell, and Sam Howell needs an abundance of weapons. They just need to give him weapons and just let him run this bitch. And I think Quentin Johnston, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin is plenty of weapon for Sam Howell to elevate this offense. And Quentin Johnston, yes, he's not DK Metcalf like we just talked about, but he's pretty damn athletic, and they do need a big body, and I think he's the big body that you give them.
I feel so bad for Quentin because I
don't love him.
I don't love the prospect in the landing spot. I mean, I think Terry Mack and Jahan Dotson are better pass catchers than him, so I think that limits his upside. And I'm going to throw out a little bit of a name here, and it's going to get the boys in the chat maybe a little riled up, but Quentin Johnston going to the Washington Commanders reminds me way too much of Josh Doctson.
Oh my God.
Josh Doctson went 22nd overall in 2016, 6'2", 200 pounds, ran a 4.50 40. He had a pretty good burst score, 97th percentile. I see Johnson, who, is going to run faster than the 4.5, but how much faster? I mean, is he going to be in the, I know he says he's going to run, what did he say? 4.3s?
He said he was going to run like 4.44, 4.40, something like that.
Yeah, he's going to be in the 4.4s. And I'll be honest, this isn't his sin that I'm putting out here. It is absolutely Treylon Burks, who just straight lied to us last year. He said he was going to melt faces at the combine and just didn't. And now I've gotten a little weary of the guys who toot their own horn. So
I'm going to run 4.21. Okay.
Yeah. Buddy. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go on a side tangent here. Treylon Burks is one of those guys that I won't ever really truly support because the dude lied to us. He was telling us he was killing boars with his bare hands, that he needed specialty gloves made. His hand size was like in the 50th percentile of wide receivers. It wasn't even that big. This guy was over here making us believe they had to make Brock Lesnar gloves for him.
Betos in the chat, 4.4 is good for his frame. The problem is his frame is not as big as it's perceived.
He's 6'3".
He's 6'3", and he's not going to be over 200 pounds. I've seen 187. I've seen 201. If he's anywhere between there, it's not really that great for his frame. If he's a super athlete, he should be running 4.40. If a super athlete would run 4.40, this is what we're saying, is if he runs 4.49 and he weighs in at 196 and he's 6'3", think about the advantage that he has at 6'3", where some of these guys that are 5'11 and they're 190 pounds. It just, we'll see. Well, yeah, Ricardo says he's not 215. No, I have don't think I've seen 215 anywhere on him. It's all been under 201, 203. I think that's the biggest numbers I've seen. If he shocks everyone 2 weeks at the combine and weighs in at 209, 211, I'll be fucking ecstatic. But he doesn't play that big neither. So he plays like he's about 195 pounds, which is super just fucking weird. But his lower body is extremely thin. And I'm very interested in it. But he falls here to pick 112 in your rookie drafts. I'm not saying this is going to happen in all of your rookie drafts, but I think you need to understand that it's a likely thing if he lands in a spot like Washington or somewhere like this where it's like there's some other dudes there and he's really not going to overtake anybody.
And sometimes when doing rookie drafts, you also have to kind of go against your narrative sometimes because, we're not always right. So all of a sudden you go, you know what? I'm not big on Johnson, but he's here at the 112. Let me pull the trigger. And all of a sudden you go, you're brushing your shoulders off, 3 weeks into the season because he has a couple touchdowns and he looks good. But, I'm kind of steering away. I just don't really like those type of guys who are almost players. I got a lot of that Treylon Burks. He was going into the combine as the next DK Metcalf, and then he came out as not the next DK Metcalf. If you are just slightly underneath the person you're comparable to, then you're not that guy. You're just not that guy. Same exact thing with Justin Fields. When he came out, everyone said, he's a slightly smaller version of Cam Newton. Well, a lot of Cam Newton's value is because he was so big and athletic. So if you shrink him down, he's not that. So if Quentin Johnston's like a more slender version of this person, well, then he's not that person. If he's a slower version of that player, he ain't that player. So at the 112, I understand it. I also am very excited that you let my man slide. I am taking Josh Downs with this next pick because one thing, this is again.
First time you got me, bro, all night. Right there.
Well, you know what? I can't give you all the players. Listen, I can't give you all your guys. I got to take some guys too. And what I love about Downs was what he showed. He was with an elite quarterback this offseason. I mean, in this past season, Drake May is going to be the 101 next year, 102, depending on where him and Caleb Williams duke it out. So I get that he was playing with an elite quarterback, but I'm not going to fault the man who has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And he was also able to achieve 1,300 yards with Sam Howell when everyone hated what Sam Howell did last year. And I think that's special. I like how he operates. And I think in this specific offense, you bring him in the same year you bring in your franchise quarterback. They can build a rapport together. And I think that in a PPR format, maybe he's not the number one receiving yards guy. That could still be Pittman. He could still, Pittman could be the red zone guy. But I think the targets will be there for Downs. I think the catches will be there for Downs. And I think that at the end of the day, we're looking at a very, very startable week in, week out wide receiver. So I really like being able to get him here at the 201.
Talked about him earlier, man. You know how I feel about Josh Downs, and I think it's a great landing spot for him to get paired up with a Will Levis type, to get not to be focused as the number one wide receiver in his offense, kind of how he has been in North Carolina. He's good enough to do it in college, but when you have a Pittman on the outside and you have a quarterback like Levis and you have a running game like Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs will be able to get open often, stretch the field, do all the things he's supposed to do. I think he's going to be a very, very nice treat for Will Levis with the Indianapolis Colts. 201 is a great spot to be. I like Josh Downs. Mm-hmm. Quentin Johnston is right there at the edge. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a guy that falls at 201 sometimes for you. So if you're in your rookie drafts and you're sitting at that at the end of the round one, I'd be looking to move back to that 201 area. I don't really care between, once I think Jordan Addison's gone at 108, I think I'm cool trading down from 9 and going to 201, 202. If somebody wants to move up and go after a quarterback like Hooker or something like that, I'm totally cool waiting and getting a Josh Downs because I think he's going to be a motherfucker, like Matty Kiwoom just said. So round 2, Josh Downs goes off the board. And now we're sitting here. Only tight end on the board, Michael Mayer, went round 1, picked 29 of the Cincinnati Bengals. A couple tight ends go off in round 2. Not going to go tight end yet. Don't really care to go tight end round 2, early half. I don't have any running backs on my rookie team right now for this draft. I have none.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
So I'm going to go Kayshon Boutte, number 47 overall to the New England Patriots. Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne are both likely on the outs.
Mm-hmm.
So they got Tyquan Thornton Nelson Aguilar, and Nelson Aguilar also might be on the outs. I can't remember.
He is.
And Kayshon Boutte. So if they need a weapon at wide receiver. And I think if somebody's going to reel in Kayshon Boutte, we always say this all the time. There's always a couple of coaches that can do this trick. And I think that Bill Belichick is obviously one of those guys. Pull in Kayshon Boutte and say, hey, brother, come down here, play with your boy Mac Jones, and we'll get you back to where you were just 2 years ago as the main Mamma Jamma in New England, Kayshon Boutte.
Great pick. If you would have selected Downs, I would have taken Boutte over Johnston. That's just kind of where I'm at.
Really? You take Boutte over Johnston?
In this landing spot, yeah. Like I said, I could be wrong. I just don't like
I don't hate it.
Boutte going to the Patriots.
I love some Boutte. I love Boutte.
We all want the train conductor on our squad. We all like that. It is what it is. But he's a guy that can be a number one wide receiver talent-wise. The Patriots need that. The Patriots also have not been good at drafting receivers, and I think a lot of that comes from them trying to zig when others are zagging. And in this specific case, zigging while others are zagging, they are just taking a guy with supreme talent, which is something they just don't always do, so I love that for them. I also don't think that Jacoby Myers will be back. I know people keep talking like it's a foregone conclusion that he's coming back. If you look around the NFL verse of publications, they're putting him as the number one wide receiver in the free agent market. I've seen him listed as a top 10 player in free agency. That means he's going to command the bag, and the Patriots are not going to give an undrafted slot wide receiver the bag. I'm sorry, they're not going to do it. So I think he's out of there. Nelson Aguilar, good riddance. Kendrick Bourne could come back, but we've seen him just kind of have a role on this offense where Kayshon Boutte would come in and immediately be the number one wide receiver on hopefully an improved offense with Mac Jones, Bill O'Brien and company. So I really, really like that pick here. So good call there, because this is a landing spot I think that could be really strong for him. And now I was celebrating because you did not take the player that I wanted here. And I'm going to actually go back to the running back room, and I'm going to take Roschon Johnson here.
Oh, he did the damn thing.
I'm taking Roschon here. Listen, I like, Devon Achane going to the Dolphins. That's going to be sexy. That's going to be a pick that I think will be a mid-first round pick in most one quarterback rookie drafts. But what I see here with a guy like Roschon is a bell cow in the making. We heard yesterday Alvin Kamara was indicted. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be suspended. We don't know what that means. It doesn't really change a whole lot with that situation. But what it does mean is they are getting closer to a trial, which means if there is a suspension brought down, Roschon is the type of guy that they could give the keys to the castle and he may never give them back. You were down in Mobile. You said, actually, when I heard you on the podcast, you said the dude's listed at 6 foot 225, but he looks every bit of 6'3", 240. The dude is a Hulk. He's a beast. And one thing, I don't remember if it was you, Alex, or the Podfather. First of all, kudos on those shows. Every single day you guys were live streaming, and I dove into all three of them because I think the insight that day, it was fresh in your minds, and you were able to relay a ton of great information. But one thing I do remember one of you guys saying about Roschon, and I've kind of just kept this in the back of my head. We all liked Keontae Ingram last year as a late-round sleeper because we thought he was supremely talented. And he didn't leave Texas because of Bijan. He left Texas because of Roschon. Because Bijan gets hurt, it ain't Keontae. It was going to be Roschon all day long. And I like that, the makeup. Alex talked about how he was a quarterback coming in. He was a leader in the clubhouse. This team, the New Orleans Saints, is deprived of an identity. This guy could instantly come in and be a rookie running back and still be the guy in a lot of people's eyes. So give me him at the 203. I love it. I think this could be an absolute home run of a pick for my fantasy team. Sometimes you hate it that your boy listens to everything you say on these shows because I'm taking that info in, baby.
My boy fucking tunes into every goddamn show, knows who I want. So I sit here and I go 0 RB through this damn rookie mock. QB, wide receiver, because I'm about to get Roschon because he's not going to be watching because he's out here snaking all the running backs. And I get hosed.
Yeah.
I get hosed.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what to do because that was the one. That was the one. I made a tweet earlier that I was looking at all these mocks on the Mock Draftable website or whatever, NFL Mock Draftable. That's where I make the mock and then I put it on the website. But it shows like the ADP data, average draft pick for all the NFL mock drafters ever, anywhere right now in the current space, and all the draft analysts. And Roschon is like round 4, round 5, round 4, round 5. Like, guys, if you listen to anybody, and one of the best resources you could possibly have about Texas football itself is Alex Dunlap. He works for Orange Bloods as well as Roster Watch. And I don't think anybody listens to him as much as they should. Like, there should be more people that are like, hey, this Alex Dunlap guy is completely tuned into Texas. And when multiple people tell you for multiple years, not only like the 2 months leading up to the draft, but like the last 2.5 years, Roschon's going to be drafted much closer to Bijan than many of you expect. Or NFL teams love Roschon. Or we're sitting at dinner and someone says, yeah, we're big fans of Roschon. And that person happens to be working for somebody that can have a team that drafted a player like that. Those things matter.
Those matter.
So when you put a guy like Roschon, I put him here at 72, which is in the first 10 picks of round 3, and people are going to be looking at that and they're going to go, why is nobody else, no other NFL draft analyst is putting Roschon Johnson in the 3rd round? Shout out to Alex Dunlap. That's all I'm going to say. Roschon's the dude, and he's been the dude. If you listened since 2021 for Texas, they love him, every part of him. But now I'm screwed, and I have to go back to wide receiver because I'm not going running back right here. At the 204, I'm going with a wide receiver that I think is better than Romeo Doubs. He is picked number 46th overall by the Green Bay Packers. This is a premium landing spot, playing next to Christian Watson outside, stretching the field. Rashee Rice can be on the other side because I think he's better than Romeo. A dog water Dobbs. I think Rashee Rice, wide receiver from SMU.
That poor guy. That's going to stick too. That sounds good. Dog water Dobbs, baby.
46th overall. I'll get him here at the 2.04. Give me Rashee. Come on down.
I got to ask you this. He kind of disappointed day 1. What was the remaining practices? Because clearly this Senior Bowl was not set up for wide receivers to shine throughout the week. The quarterbacks stunk. The cornerbacks were really, really good. I mean, we saw Springs from Miami really looked really physical. I mean, what's the cornerback from Kansas State? Brents. He looks crazy good. Yeah. So this was not a particular situation for the wide receivers to shine. But do you believe that his trip down to Mobile hurt his draft stock? Did it remain the same? And did it affect your version of his outlook, his early years in the NFL?
It didn't because, day 1, yes. Day 1, I was in question because we thought he was going to come in the 180s and he came in over 200 pounds. We were like, oh shit, he's different. He's not that athlete. Like, maybe he can still run in the 4.4s. We'll see. I don't know. He came in bigger, and that first day, really, he just looked slower. He looked more like sluggish, and that happens on day 1. While these guys are kind of getting incubated into the offenses and stuff. But 683, 670, and then 1,400 yards this last year. Right. He's the truth. And he came around day 2, looked a little better. In day 3, he really started to take that leap and he started to make plays. I don't think he got hurt by anything. I don't think he helped himself very much. It's just one of those things where the weight came in high. The combine is now going to be where he can elevate even more. And I think Rashee Rice, round 2, I think is a good spot for him. You might see him go a little bit later here, but again, this is if I was the Green Bay GM right now, I'd be drafting Rashee Rice to come in because I didn't see enough out of Dobbs and Cobb's on the way out. Dobbs sucks, Cobb's on the way out, and Watson's the guy. That's a pretty good duo right there with Rashee and Christian Watson, in my opinion.
Yeah, right, for sure. I think that, and I'm starting to get the Jordan Love fever. I am. I tweeted that before I put it on our TikTok. I'm starting to get a little excited about what Jordan Love could provide. So if Rashee Rice comes in and he's, gets the confidence of the offense and can be a weapon, absolutely love him here. Now, my next pick, I'm kind of at a crossroads because I need to take the player I love, or do I take the guy to snipe him from you because I think you could take him next?
You fucker.
And I think I'm going to continue and be, what was his name? Chris Kyle, the sniper from the movie. I think I'm going to stick to that role, and I will take Jaden Reed here.
God damn it.
And here's why. And I know part of this does come with me trying to act to snipe Cody. So there is some fun, some gamemanship here. But even
He
let's
deserves
just play
it,
it
though.
out. He deserves it. What I love about Reed is the fact that if he is paired with Anthony Richardson, someone that, you and others in the space are super excited about, well deserves. And if he can be that guy, a player like Jaden Reed, holy shit, could he be a beast? Because he is a type of athletic profile that will not only deserve targets, but command those targets. He can get open short. He can get open deep. I mean, imagine, and I know this keeps getting thrown out there, and everyone says it a little tongue-in-cheek, a little embarrassed because everyone hates lofty comps. But if you can put a young Antonio Brown with a playmaker like Anthony Richardson, you're talking about a player that can be a beast in fantasy. You put him on Houston. If Jaden Reed is what we think he is, Nico ain't stopping him. Brandon Cooks ain't stopping him. Nobody's stopping him from ascending to the top of the pecking order. So give me Jaden Reed here, and another little bit that I like, that you guys continue to say that I always gravitate towards these players, his ability to make plays on special teams, because that, my friends, will keep him in the coach's good favor. That can allow him to make plays outside of just the offensive sets. That keeps him on the field. And it reminds me so much of Antonio Brown. And I hate saying that. Antonio Brown is one of my favorite players of all time. I wish he didn't go to the loony bin, because he would be my favorite player of all time. You tell me he has a chance to be a player like that, I'm taking him here. No questions asked.
I don't got to say anything about Jaden Reed. Y'all know how I feel about Jaden Reed. You know how I feel. He's
that
dude.
You put me onto him, really.
I was the only reason I took Rashee over Reed is because you got 20 picks in NFL draft capital, and you have the Green Bay Packers, who we know year after year are, they didn't make the playoffs this year, but they're pretty competent. And I think Jordan Love, right now, I trust Jordan Love more than I do whatever the quarterback situation is in Houston. And right now, if it's Anthony Richardson, he's not primed to give a guy like Jaden Reed the best opportunities for the next year or two. That's why I went Rice. But again, this is all hypothetical. 100%, I like Reed more than Rice, just to clear those airwaves as well. I think the comp is very in line as we look through that. I see a couple comments in here about 60% catch rate. He's not on AB's level. I think you have to look at the quarterback play a little bit. We're talking about that at least a little bit. I mean, Michigan State's not known for being the best quarterback team, but that's here nor there. He's still a stud. He looked good at the Senior Bowl. Opportunities are opportunitable. And I like Jaden Reed, 205. Not bad.
Yeah.
Again, now I'm sitting here and I'm hands in the air.
Just
and
swirling. We got my boy reeling.
Throwing me for a fucking tizzy because I'm not taking Devon Achane because I'm not a punk. Right here at the 206, if this is my team, I'm taking Zach Evans. I'm taking Zach Evans here at the 206, running back, third round pick, number 88 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. The thought behind this pick was Dalvin Cook just had shoulder surgery. Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, should have never been re-signed to the Minnesota Vikings. It's not how you build a team. It's not how you continue on through a franchise. You never give that stud the second contract, because that's how you get over your skis. That's where the Vikings are right now. Alexander Mattison is gone in free agency. Zach Evans plugs in as that number 2. And if they really want to say something about it, they can let Dalvin walk because they know the depth of this class. And I think Zach Evans is the guy that can plug in day one and be a stud. He's 21 years old. And Zach Evans he's all that and some Big Mac sauce on top.
What I love about Zach Evans is how polarizing he is in the draft community. Some people believe he just straight up sucks. Others believe he's
so
good.
Weird, dude.
It's so weird. There is no middle ground with Zach Evans. And why I like that is I tend to believe what I like to do is hang my hat on kind of what has been the consistent, what's been the drumbeat. And the drumbeat has been that Zach Evans is the number 3 running back in this class.
Yeah.
That's what it was been. And you know, he made the wrong choice going to Ole Miss. It seemed like a good move, but no one knew that Quentin Johnston was just going to be
a dog,
the next dude. So, he kind of got screwed there. And I think what I love about this pick is you took him at the 206. But I think in a lot of home leagues, you're getting this guy at the end of round 2, in round 3, even. And then even this landing spot is perfect for us sharp fantasy players because everyone else is going to go, well, they have Dalvin Cook. They're not going to have who cares? And you know what? All of a sudden, it's a wink and a tip of the cap, and Dalvin's out the door, and this is your running back one. So I love this pick. I was absolutely keeping him in the back of my head, but I am going to be the stooge with my next pick, and I will take Devon Achane. I will be the stooge. I'll be the stooge here because at this point here at the 207, it's a sweet spot that I'll take. The landing spot makes a lot of sense. But what I would love, and this might be counterintuitive to what a lot of people think, I would prefer them to bring back a Jeff Wilson, a guy like that with Achane. I don't want Achane coming in and being the guy. I don't think he can handle it right away.
No,
I mean, how long did it take Raheem Mostert to be a contributor other than special teams? I mean, he was on Philly. He was on San Fran. Like, it took him years to put on some weight to be able to withstand hits. And then he kind of inserted himself in offenses later, after 3 or 4 or 5 years even. Mm-hmm. And I think Devon Achane, if you put him in at 5'9", even if he comes in at the combine around 200, say 197, I still think he's going to get some hits that's not going to be beneficial to him. So I want somebody in year one that can be the between the tackles guy. And if that's the case, then I really like Achane with the Dolphins because the running back situation here is so sweet. You got a mastermind in the run game in Mike McDaniel. You have 2 race cars on the outside in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill that has to push the defense back. And a guy who can be this fast. I mean, this guy was a Olympic caliber sprinter. Right. Mm-hmm. Like he was on pace to potentially be a guy that could get himself into the Olympic conversation, and being undersized is going to be a challenge. But I think if you get him a running mate, kind of a little bit of thunder to his lightning, all of a sudden now we're really talking about a fantasy asset that has the longevity. And getting him at the 207, I think I can withstand that risk because if they don't bring a guy like that and he does get hurt, it is what it is. But the 207, that's a risk I think I can take.
If he runs a 4.35, 4.37, something like that, this number 52 overall pick, you can all but put it in cement, stone, gold, whatever you want. It's not going anywhere, I think, for Devon Achane to go to Miami. It just makes too much sense. And yeah, unless San Francisco decides to trade up and be like, hey, guess what? No. And
you know what? But even at that, even if something crazy like that happens at the end of your second round, I'll take it and wait.
Yeah.
I'll take it and wait because that type of landing spot, they're so good at keeping guys on the field. And I know that sounds crazy because Mostert would get hurt, but I mean, Mostert gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But I like that type of thinking here.
All right. I'm going to move on to the tight end position. I'm skipping right over running back. I only got one. I think that's how we're going to rule. 208, I'm going with the guy, the last first round pick that was available. That's our boy Michael Mayer out of the Notre Dame. He's going to go to Cincinnati. He's going to replace Hayden Hurst. He's going to be that dude going forward. In the AFC North, Pat Freiermuth is up there. I think he's kind of similar to him. He's got a little more athleticism to his body type. I think you're sitting here at the 208. I think you're happy getting the tight end one. I don't really want to go any earlier than this. I think Mayer is deserving. You could talk about 204, 205, start having that conversation, but I think 208 is a good spot to, if Mayer falls to you, take him at 208. If he goes round 1, if he's in a premier landing spot where look at the offense Cincinnati has right now with Burrow, Higgins, Boyd, and Chase. I think it's a good spot for Michael Mayer to land in. If he does, Jacksonville, I'm good taking him 204, 205, down to 208, 209, whatever it may be. Michael Mayer, 208.
Great pick. Mayer going to the Bengals is great. And I think it's one of those spots where when you take him at the back half of your second round or mid part of the second round in our rookie drafts, all of a sudden he's a T. Higgins trade away from really, seeing his stock go up even more. So I do like this pick. He's kind of a hype tight end prospect, and it's well-deserved. He's a really good player. I think this is a great landing spot. So a good pick here. Obviously, after seeing you take Mayer, my first thought was to go to Musgrave, but I'm actually going to skip that here. I'm going to go with Zach Charbonnet, who went to the Arizona Cardinals. I love that landing spot for him. He doesn't have to be the guy year one. James Conner is still there, and James Conner, I think, is a great running back for him to learn from. A guy who can do all the things in terms of running, guy who just runs angry, can plow over players, and is pretty good in the pass game. We've seen Charbonnet now go over 1,000 yards each of his last 2 years at UCLA. And this past year, 37 receptions for 321 yards. Pretty good. I like that. So I think this is a great landing spot. And what I kind of secretly like about him, especially if you're getting him at the end of round 2 in your rookie draft, there's not a whole lot of pressure to need him to produce as a rookie, because I really think that this Arizona year is going to be a redshirt year. I think they're going to be terrible without Kyler Murray. I know he looked great on that bike. My man was killing that Airdyne. I don't think he's come back this year. Why would you rush a guy back for a year that you're not expected to do a whole lot? You have a defensive-minded coach, which I imagine is going to take a couple years to get some of his guys and implement him to the team. So give me Charbonnet, because at this spot, I'm okay with him having a redshirt freshman year.
Well, I guess I'm not going to go back to running back. We'll go tight end again here. We'll go with Luke Musgrave. I'm going to throw that second dart at tight end on this particular team. Reason being is Musgrave was a baller down at the Senior Bowl. He didn't do much this year. He played in 3 games at Oregon State, but Musgrave's going to be an athlete. Musgrave was asked, there were some rumors that came out that he's going to run 4.445, and somebody asked him at the Senior Bowl, they go, what are you going to run? There's rumors of 4.445, and he goes, well, I don't know who the fuck made those rumors up. And that was pretty fucking funny. But I do think a high 4.6 is in play for Luke Musgrave, and that's perfect for his body type. He's just a big donkey, and he's going to dominate wherever he goes. I think you put him in Detroit with this team. I think he fits very well. I think Luke Musgrave, 49th overall, Detroit. It just, out one door goes TJ Hockenson, in another door walks Luke Musgrave, and you saw at the end of the year there where it was like, oh, who are we going to throw the ball to? James Mitchell, Brock Wright? No, like they want to have a tight end here, and I think Musgrave fits in very well. And they had a couple of positional coaches down in Mobile, so they know what Musgrave is like in person as well.
I was going to take Musgrave if you let him slip to me for sure. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. A lot of the haters are going to say, if they didn't, propel TJ Hockenson, why would Luke Musgrave get that? Well, my rebuttal to that would be, well, they didn't have, Ben Johnson wasn't getting this offense cooking like they were. I think this offense now is going to be kind of a light version of Greatest Show on Turf. And if they get a guy like CJ Stroud, I think you're looking at taking this offense to another level. So Luke Musgrave there on a team where, Amon-Ra is going to get that respect now. It's 2 years going. Jameson Williams is that type of athlete that they have to account for. And if those, you're going against a tough defense who can kind of nullify or at least mute a little of that, boom, Luke Musgrave at 6'6", running a 4.6 40, man, he could be super dangerous. And because he was the second tight end off the board, definitely great value here at the 210. I'm actually going to go with a pick that, again, I don't know if I'm sniping you, but I'm only taking him because of you.
This is your last pick. Don't mess it up. This is your last pick.
Oh, that changes things. Yes, it does. That changes things.
Don't mess it up.
All right. I am going to change.
Don't mess it up.
I'm going to pivot here because it's
Don't
my
mess
last
it
pick,
up.
and I have to stay on brand. Give me Tank Dell.
Okay.
Give me Tank Dell, Nathaniel Dell here. I'll tell you who I was going to pick if you pick him or don't pick him after this, but I'll go Tank Dell. I like the fact that he can produce. I know he's small, but listen, even though he's small, he's still got you, Matt, Alex, Ray G, all of you guys excited about him at his small frame. And Ray G was the poster boy for fuck these little dudes. And the fact that even he was like, I don't know, he might be a little different. It's got me thinking maybe he's different. And I think this landing spot is the best landing spot that he could go to, because he's not going to be asked to take on a whole lot in this offense. You got Drizzy Drake. You got Kyle Pitts. He could just be that shifty, fast guy in the middle that could take things to the house in that, indoor arena. So I like this pick here. I'm okay taking him with the 211. Led the nation in receiving. That's what I like. Give me the nation leading receiver.
Doesn't that make too much sense? Like Demir Bird, Olamide Zaccheaus, they like that little body type.
They do.
That little speedster. And Dell is just like, he's both those guys combined and faster and better. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. But anyway, pulling safeties deep away from Drake London, Kyle Pitts, like that's going to open up this offense in the deep end. Not saying that Desmond Ridder going to be able to get him the ball, but it's at least a good idea.
But I also think, too, Desmond Ridder is not prolific. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
He's not going to unlock both Pitts and London. But he can dump it off to a guy who's wide open over the middle who can make plays. And I'll take that. I know it's not sexy in terms of the Falcons hoping of winning, but I could take that in PPR leagues.
All right, man. We made it. 212. 212 right here.
Let's go.
Am I going to go tight end again? No.
Nah.
I'm going to do that.
You have to trade me one, though.
A wide receiver. Oh, yeah, you don't have a tight end. Sucker.
I got some running backs. We can make a trade. We can make a running back receiver trade.
I'm a commissioner changing the rules. This is tight end premium right now.
6-point tight end premium right now.
I think I got enough wide receivers. The Trey Palmer landing spot, for those of you that maybe don't, this doesn't make sense. D. Eskridge, Marquise Goodwin, plug him in that spot. You're going to be very happy, but that's not where I'm going to go. Xavier Hutchinson and PPR is right at the tip of my tongue. I really want to say Xavier Hutchinson right now because I like the landing spot of Buffalo. They've also been trying to fill somebody else to pick in that slot where Cole Beasley was, inside of Gabe Davis, inside of Stephon Diggs. I think that Xavier Hutchinson's a good spot right there. But I'm going to go off the board.
Oh, you can't be a sneaky devil.
I'm going to go off the board.
That's why you're the freaking man here.
Kendre Miller.
Oh, yeah!
Kendre Miller.
Oh, my God.
Kendre Miller. Running back, TCU.
He did this on purpose. This whole mock draft was to dupe me at the end, huh? You son of a bitch. You sandbagging son of a bitch, you.
I don't know where he's going to go. We're getting Kendre Miller, though. Getting Kendre Miller right here.
Kendre Miller at the 212, though. I mean, perfect spot because he is the type of running back that profiles to be Mr. Steal Your Job. There are a ton of running backs who he could take the job because he can just get 3 when you need to. And that's so valuable. We've seen that year in and year out where people are like, he's whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then they come in and they just give the team what they need. And Kendre Miller is that type of player.
He's getting disrespected, man. That's the big thing. We disrespected him here in this mock. He's getting disrespected in all of the NFL mocks, and I think he's going to end up falling. And I think he could be one of the first guys drafted on day 3 in round 4 or late round 3 if he's not. Tyjae Spears, I think, is very interesting right there, but I think Kendre Miller right here, 212, is it's going to be a dangerous pick to play. He's a stud. He's a stud, man. And let me see if I can fix this screen up so it would look a little better. Maybe we go right there. Something like that. And Kendre Miller right there, 212. I like it.
You have to snipe him. He is a good player. I like Miller. I definitely like Miller, and I'm getting excited about him based off of what I'm hearing. And sometimes, Brian Robinson was this time last year. Brian Robinson was probably the least sexy prospect in the entire world, and now he's a fantasy asset. And I think Kendre Miller could absolutely have a similar career path. I hope he doesn't get shot in the ass. So that's not what I'm talking about. But I do think he can have a similar, career path as B-Rob. So, great pick. You sandbagged me. Good move. Good move. I sniped you a couple times. You got your revenge at the end.
I got my 2021 TCU backfield there. I got Zach Evans and Kendre Miller. That's all I got there. So undrafted guys: Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft at tight end, Trey Palmer, Dontavian Wicks, and Xavier Hutchinson at Iowa State there. Dontavian was the one. He was the one I was going to go with right there at that pick. Just because of the opportunity in New York. I think that's a lot of value. Tyjae Spears at the 101 going to the Giants as well as Michael Wilson, 103 to the San Francisco 49ers, and Marvin Mims going to Carolina to pair up with your boy DJ Moore and Jamir Gibbs and Bryce Young. It's a very sneaky spot as well for him, but those are the guys that went undrafted. But here are the teams. You got Bijan. You get your 2 quarterbacks with CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. You got Gibbs in there. So you got arguably the top 2 quarterbacks, arguably the top 2 running backs, and then you got Hendon Hooker as well. So you got a guy that can ride the pine for 7 years and then play when he's 33. You got Jalin Hyatt, Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, studs, and then of course you got the running backs. And on top of Gibbs, you got Devon Achane, Charbonnet. I like it. I like the build. And you finish out with your speedster in Tank Dell. I went upside. That's what I did at quarterback. You said that early on.
Yeah.
Richardson, Will Levis. I got my PPR guy, Jackson Smith-Njigba at the top. That's where I like to aim and target. Jordan Addison's my overall number 1 wide receiver in this class. If he's about 10 pounds heavier, I like that. And then we finished it out, a couple tight ends and a couple running backs. Matty Kiwoom We've been going for an hour and 15. You got any takeaways from this draft?
What I would say is if you were game planning for this draft, like you traded for picks, you got the 102, 103.
Game planning? Game plan? Is there a show called? Is there a show?
That guy sucks. That guy stinks.
Is there a show called Game Plan on tomorrow?
There is, baby. The game plan. We are coming at you tomorrow. When we get to the plugs, I'll get to that because I got a very special episode of the game plan tomorrow. But if you were also game planning and got 2 picks early, I would highly, highly recommend taking a Stroud, or based on these landing spots, taking a Stroud and then taking a Richardson, taking a Levis. I think you want to parlay that because I'm in a bunch of startups in which those early round picks have been fought over. I'm in a bunch of dynasty leagues where people were hoarding 23 first and they have the 103, the 105, the 102, the 104, whatever it is. And if you are in that situation, I would try to parlay that because I think that there's good floor plays and high ceiling plays. And I think Cody went ceiling, I went floor, but I think in an ideal world, you want one of each.
I think you're right. I think you're 100% on. And I think that's where I'm a little scared with this build. Exactly. Like if this was my team and we did a 2-man league or some shit like this, I would be a little scared having Richardson and Levis because that's a lot of upside, but it's also like a floor that is like through the basement and through the cardboard that's rotted and asbestos on the floor. Like it's shitty. It's bad. It can fall out quickly and it can be over before you even blink. Whereas Stroud and Bryce Young have a strong floor just because of their talent levels and opportunities and the teams they land on. So I don't know. I like this. Good draft, good takeaways. It was interesting to see Quentin Johnston fall to the 112 here. I didn't envision that one as well. The second round, I think we have some good values in round 2, to be honest with you, though. I think if you look at the way all this landed, this amount of skill guys go in the first 3 rounds, which I think they usually do. I think you're going to be happy with the Kayshon Boutte in round 2, Roschon 203. This is what I'm saying. When you get past Jordan Addison, I'm totally cool trading out of the 9, the 10, the 11, and moving down to 201, 202, 203. Look at that. Josh Downs, Kayshon Boutte, Roschon Johnson, 201, 202, 203. I think that's the game plan for rookie drafts right now. As far as like, maybe not your home leagues. Your home leagues, some of those guys are going to fall a little bit further. Like Roschon's going to be a 5th round pick in home leagues, but we're talking about some real industry leagues that you're in. You got to be looking at that 203, 202 spot. I think that's going to be the prime dollar bill if you're going to trade down from round 1 into round 2. So that's my biggest takeaway from this mock.
No, you nailed it. If I have, the only thing I'm going to differ here is I'm okay with Jalin Hyatt. Yeah. I like Hyatt. So after that, the 110 or worse, I am trying to kind of hoard 2nd and even 3rd round picks. Look at the guys we didn't draft. They're still quality players. I mean, right now, like let's say you have an early rookie draft, and Tajay Spears, you take him now, and this is the landing spot. And Barkley jet sets. He's out of New York. All of a sudden, Tajay Spears would be probably the 106 in this draft. You know what I mean? Like he could shoot up. So there's a lot of talent. This is a super deep rookie draft. So I completely agree. If you've kind of got yourself outside of your top tier players, trade back, gather a couple assets, and take the shotgun approach. Really get that spread and get a bunch of players.
I love it. I love it. Let's answer one question from the chat. We appreciate all of you guys for hopping in here tonight. It has been a great one. It's been a little long, but we appreciate you guys sticking with us throughout. Shout out to everybody in here. I'll give you guys a little Ricardo, Connor, Charlie, Emmert, Frankie Boy was in here. Mike Murray, let's go. Mike Valverde, shout out. Appreciate you. Snowman's in here. Joe Hebert. Spelled his last name wrong. Should be Herbert. JK. Ricardo Betos was in here earlier. Ball is life. Shout out to all of you guys for jumping in here in the chat. There's one question though that I did see from Chev Vinny. How much better is Tank Dell than Calvin Austin? Because everyone seems to hate Calvin Austin. If you rewind 12 months, Calvin Austin was a hot topic coming out of the Senior Bowl, as is Nathaniel Tank Dell. Both guys skated on the turf down there at the Senior Bowl. Tank Dell, I can tell you from being in person for both practices for both weeks of Calvin Austin and for Tank Dell, Calvin Austin was a great separator. Tank Dell glides. Tank Dell moves. Tank Dell separates at an entirely different level. Calvin Austin's awesome. Calvin Austin's going to be a good receiver. He had lower leg surgery this year. He's going to come back. He's going to kind of build his way up in this Pittsburgh offense. He's never going to be a superstar. Nathaniel Dell has superstar qualities. Nathaniel Dell glides different. When you watch Hollywood Brown, when you watch Tyreek Hill run, they all glide, they all run a little bit different. When I say glide, it's like when you see it, you see it. And it's just a little different. It's just the way he plays. They're both very similar, like you said, very undersized, very skinny, very slender, but it's just their movements is really what I can say is the difference between these two guys, and I would put Dell over Kelvin. That's not recency bias. That's just straight up comparing week to week, comparing their practices a year ago to this last week. I think Tank Dell is much better than Kelvin Austin. And and I think Tank Dell, if he goes to Atlanta at this 76th overall pick, it seems meh, but it's like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they're going to have a running game there. Like he's going to carve out a role. Do you have any thoughts on Tank versus Kelvin, Matty?
I think my only thing I could add to what you're saying, because I completely am just going to kind of, defer the question to you because you were there for both practices, for both sessions of the Senior Bowl. So I'm going to kind of rely on your word. But what I would add is Calvin Austin got hurt in his rookie year. And when you're a fourth round pick, that's really, really tough in your development. So I know that's not his fault, but it is what it is. If he didn't get hurt, would they be looking at a guy like Jordan Addison in the first round? Probably not. Probably not. But now with his injury, they may go that route. And if they do, I mean, what are you going to take? The fourth receiver for the Steelers? Give me the number 2 receiver for the Falcons over the number 4 receiver for small hand Kenny Pickett.
There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys. You can find Matty on Twitter at Matty Kiwoom. You can find me on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. Matty, hit him with the plugs.
Absolutely so. Trade Gods each and every Thursday with my boy Jason Allwine. Make sure you hit that up. And the game plan is going on in the off season, so absolutely tune in. We got a show going on this Saturday, and I got a very special guest. We got a super fun topic that we're breaking down, taking over an orphan in Dynasty. Great topic, great guest, so make sure you tune into that. I got the Fantasy Supermarket coming out on PlayerProfiler.com. Got TikToks coming out all the time on Profiler_NFL. Just come rock with us. Player Profiler is going to the moon, and we ain't stopping there, boys and girls.
Boom, boom, boom. And I got one thing. All I got is one thing to share, and that is the mock draft 3.0 that we just drafted through. You can go find that on PlayerProfiler.com. Up at the top, article section, boom, right there. NFL draft, top of the page. Click it, check it out. That has all the picks that we went through tonight and some. You can see Chicago Bears taking Jalen Carter. They got over $100 million in cap space. I got little write-ups for most of the first-round guys. All the way down to round 2 and round 3. You can check out what your team did. Oh, look, there's Roschon.
That's my guy. I drafted that guy.
There's the guy right there. Roschon Johnson, baby. But that has been a draft. It's been a long night. It's been a good Friday night. Appreciate each and every single one of you guys in the chat for saying thank you, for sticking through with us for an hour and a half. Every single week. What day did we say we were going to do these?
Midweek mocks, baby. Each and every Wednesday.
Mocks with Matty, Kiwoom, and Cody Carpentier on the Player Profile YouTube channel. Tap in every single week. We're going to keep on rolling, and maybe we'll have a few of you guys draft with us next time. But until then, we out you.